Dan, if you could change or make one government policy today, what would it be and why?
Well, I wouldn't want to change just one. I'd want to change three basic policies. The very first one would be fact checking, because the only candidate that would not want fact checking is the person that's lying to us. Number two would be term limits. So knowing that they only get two terms, put in office, and then they how much money can they steal in 2 terms before they have to go and live back amongst us? Let's put a cap on these different campaigns. When you look at how much money is squandered, when you look at a lot of our first responders, especially like our veterans, and know that veterans need help and they're living in the streets, let's take care of our own before taking care of others.
What obstacles and limitations are preventing our generation today from reaching our full potential as a collective? Whenever you're ready to go, the floor is yours, good sir.
I mean, if you really want to set goals for yourself, you've got to pull out a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and you've got to write those goals down. That's the end of the rainbow, to be able to put together goals and then the steps to achieve these goals. I see a lot of weakness in this new generation coming up. You can Google everything. Growing up, I mean, I had to pull out the encyclopedias and just to be able to look at things. You actually had to do book reports, the setting of goals, realistic goals, but lay it out on actual paper so that you know what you really want to try to do, and knowing that you are going to hit obstacles. You're going to hit dead ends, and knowing that, don't give up. My goal, one of my personal goals, is to take Father Time, the all-time champion, because he's never lost a match yet. Plan on taking Father Time into a little OT.
If you can see one moment in your life to see what might have been, which moment would it be? And if you could ask a historical figure to pick a moment in their life where they could see what might have been, which historical figure would you pick and why?
I love my career at the Ravens, but I wonder what would have been like going to the Steelers. That's our enemy, though. And just how my career would have been different, because I felt like when I got in the NFL, I kind of grew. My game got better because I studied more. I had to study because I fumbled like 2 games in a row. And the coach was like, man, if you fumble one more time, all your dreams going to be out the window. So that's when I had to learn. I ended up getting a dog, a Rottweiler named Snoop. And I sat down, took care of my dog. I got to walk him, feed him. And he's like, put it in the film and start watching. So if I was at the Steelers, I don't know if I would have had the adversity or how I would have went if I would have been able to make that leap. I made a big jump after my first year, and it was just strictly because I really don't like to do bad. Everything's like a puzzle. So I kind of try to beat the puzzle, and that's what I was doing. And I felt like maybe I wouldn't have got better, or maybe I would have just have been super average. I just don't know. It's just one thing about that sliding door that I would address.
Out of all the accolades that you've earned in life, isn't it the most rewarding to see what the next of kin, what your sons are doing? Even is that more rewarding than any personal accolade?
I don't know about it's rewarding because it's so much stress. You're trying to make.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's like you put in all that work and then they not doing it. Then they.
Oh, you mean it's kind of out of your hands at that point? It's out of your hands. Yeah.
Think about being a coach. It's frustrating because you can't go play for them. I can do all these pump return.
Yeah.
But I can't go out there and catch it. If you're going to drop it, that's on you.
I'm going to go right now to the historical figure portion of this topic here. Who would you go back and maybe perhaps visit if they had a chance to maybe go and pick a moment of theirs, answer the what if game? Who would you pick and why?
So I would go with Tupac, and just like today, like what rapper today is going to be like a Jay-Z or even 50 Cent owning these production companies. I just wonder how far he could have went if he kind of toned it down with the back and forth with the California, New York.
Is that the moment? Is that the moment where you tell him, hey, look, this whole East Coast, West Coast stuff, is that the moment where you tell him to kind of survey everything?
That's the moment you'd be like, it's gonna get out of hand. Too many people love where they're from. And then when you go East Coast, West Coast, that brings too many members in. that limits places you can go, limit your stress. I would have been like, you could be stress free, you know, just without the beef. So I think, you know, it's tough when you're in that scenario that he's in, when you're on TV, you got a lot of fans and a lot of viewers. But I think he'd have been more, he'd have helped more adults and more kids if he was alive longer.
I concur. And it's so funny because what do you guys do when regret pops in? You have to admit that happens to all of us. When regret does kind of seep into the consciousness, how do you get it out?
You know, my father, he always used to say, you know, you always want a new pair of shoes until you see the guy with no feet. So that's kind of like where I'm at.
Yeah.
Learn from the decisions that you make and just try to make your family better, make these boys better.